Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Coach Colton here at Columbus Martial Arts. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I want to do a quick video on all of the rules for Junior Elite, Elite, and Leadership for the upcoming tournament. We are running a very, very exciting tournament coming up on Saturday, June 11th. By now, you've probably heard about it. Sign up is open currently on the app. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you do that. It's just going to, don't let it slip under the rug so that you forget it. We will do all of the weigh-ins and bracketing and stuff closer to the event. So it's just a simple sign-up page on the app right now. It takes about 2 minutes to do. It's a required event for all Junior Elite and Leadership. It is totally optional for Basic, Core, and Extreme. Early skills cannot compete in the tournament. Sorry to my youngest guys. We want to make sure at least 5 years old they start having some grasp of technique and things like that. So Junior Elite, and Leadership students, this video is mainly directed towards you. If you've checked in the student handbook by now, there's a couple of different rule sets in there. We're not actually using those rule sets for the upcoming tournament. The closest rule set is the full sparring rule set, but if you've looked at it, the minimum requirement is junior black belt. It's a little bit too open. We still want to have great control and make sure everyone's training in a safe way. So it's a little bit of a hybrid between the point sparring rule set and the full grappling rule set with the submissions. So as quickly as I can, I'm going to go through all of the rules today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, shoot us a message in the Spark app. We're also going to cover the rules in class. And of course, we'll have a rules meeting that same day as well for any last minute questions. You do not want to walk into any match not having a question answered. You don't want any excuses heading in there. So if you have any questions, ask them. I will answer any question as it pertains to the rules. No question is a dumb question. Well, I won't say that. Some of them was pretty far out there. I've had some weird questions, but I won't think anything less of anyone from asking questions important to ask. So let's jump right into it. The matches for all of my Junior Elite, Elite, and Leadership students are 1 round, and it's 3 minutes long. Might not seem like a long time from the outside perspective, but inside it lasts quite a while. And that's to keep the tournament speedy. Is to expect a high level of action. And it's also because the data shows that the physical confrontations for self-defense are generally around 2 to 3 minutes long. There might be a little bit more on the front end or the tail end with like words and like escalation, de-escalation. But as far as the person-on-person, most of the time, especially with bullying, 2 to 3 minutes. So we want to make sure our students can go 100% for 3 minutes. If you can't go 100% for 3 minutes, then you're not that baseline of health that we need to be at. We don't expect all of our students to be shredded with 6-pack abs and super big biceps, but they should be able to use their technique effectively for a full 3 minutes. So that's why we have the round timers there. The rule set itself is designed to reward following the 4-step battle plan, which we talked about in several previous videos. Is get the clinch, get the takedown, get the control, and get the submission. So as we dive into the points, you can get points for some striking, but you're going to see that points very heavily lean towards the grappling side. And that's, again, just to train our students to use good technique and good strategy for self-defense situations. We don't want them to stand up and exchange strikes with a bully or a bad guy, because white belt, black belt doesn't matter. You get punched in the head, there's brain damage there, there's concussion there, especially, without any protective gear, going 100% over and over and over, not good for you in the long run. In-class sparring, it's okay. We're only usually pretty light. We got protective gear on, nothing bad there. But you're talking about, life or death, or a bully who really, doesn't like you. They're not pulling their punches, right? They're trying to clobber you. Broken nose, black eye, you get the thing. I'll get the idea. So let's get into the points. So it's a 3-minute round. At the end of the timer, whoever has the most points wins. So that's very similar to any other sport out there. There are ways to end before the time runs out. You can automatically win the match, doesn't matter the point spread, if you submit your opponent and they tap out, or if you have a technical knockout, which means you're on top of them, you've restrained them, you're landing punches, they can't escape, and the referee stops it. So 2 ways to win before the timer: submission or TKO. Also, if the match goes to time and it is a tie, then it goes to advantage points. Advantage points are kind of like 0.0001 of a point. It doesn't matter how many advantages you have. An advantage will only be used to break a tie. There is no overtime. There is no sudden death or anything like that. If it is tied in points, it will go to advantages. And then the student asks, well, Coach Colton, what if it's tied in advantages? If I ever have a match that's tied in points and in advantages, that means it was probably a razor close match. Again, we're not going to do overtimes or a second round or anything like that because we want to keep the tournament moving. So at that point, it goes to referee's decision. And they do not have to provide a rhyme or a reason for their choice, but some factors that they may use to determine their choice: aggressiveness, technical execution, strategy, good sportsmanship. So they don't really have to provide a rhyme or reason on why they pick a student at the end, because it really could go either way. It's really subjective at that point. So if you want to secure a victory, make sure you're ahead on the scorecards or end it early with a submission or a TKO. Now, point breakdown. I'm going to straight read this off and we'll explain it as we go. You get 1 point for near submissions, a flurry of blows, a knockdown with no cover, or a significant blow. And unlike, I'll jump in and say this, unlike this point sparring type match where we pause, award the point, and restart, it's going to go with no stops, more similar to the grappling matches. So you're going to see the ref going crazy with the points, and the match is going to continue. So if there's a whole bunch of punches being landed, they might kind of do some of the action and award several points at once. Near submission, you almost choked them, you almost got them to tap out, but they narrowly escaped, 1 point. Flurry of blows, you're landing multiple punches and kicks from the standing position, and while they might have been blocked, the other person is having so much pressure, they're not able to launch any kind of counterattack or defend themselves beyond covering up. You definitely deserve a point for that. A knockdown with no cover. This could be a punch or a kick that knocks someone down, or maybe an attempted takedown where the person gets knocked down but pops right back up before the cover happens, 1 point. Significant blow. Significant blow is any punch or kick that lands to the head or the body of the opponent that is not blocked effectively. And when things are moving full speed, sometimes this is very subjective. The referees are watching, limbs flying very quickly. They may miss one of these. It is really at their discretion how they award those significant blow points. You can get 2 points for a significant blow that also knocks them down, but they pop back up before the cover. If you got the punch that knocked them down, they got on top of them, that would be considered a takedown, which goes into our second category, maneuvers that score 2 points. Takedown, 2 points, controlling on top for 3 seconds, and sweeping. So if you knock them down, get on top of them for 3 seconds, it's a takedown with 2 points. Whether you do it with a double leg or whether you do it with a push kick, 2 points. Sweeps. Sweeps are any technique that start from the guard position and end with the person that was on bottom on top. So if you were in guard and you rolled them over and got on top and mount, that's 2 points. Again, just like with the takedowns, the sweeps you have to control for 3 seconds once you're on top. 3 points. You get 3 points for passing the guard. So you take them down, you get into the guard position, which is where they have the legs wrapped around you, generally for closed guard. If you break the lock of the legs, get past the legs, and get to one of the dominant positions that we worked last week, side control, mount, back mount, etc., 3 points. We get 4 points for securing either mount or back mount. So as we go through, you see that the maneuvers that score more points are all grappling moves. Striking is never worth more than 1 point at a time. And of course, you can do it over and over and over. If you have good success, you might rack up a lot of points. But if you're maybe killing it on the feet and you're up 4-0 and they get a takedown, they're going to mount. Well, now it's 6-4, right? So we really have incentivized the grappling maneuvers. You want to clinch, you want to take down your opponent, and you want to get to a good form of control. And the ultimate forms of control are mount and back mount. From there, you have complete domination. You can submit, you can strike, you can just pin. And that's really what our objective is. The submission is an afterthought. Ultimately, we want to keep ourselves safe. We want to keep the bad guy safe if we can. And if they're super going crazy and we can't, then we throw on the submission, right? So really, we don't want to go straight and choke people out or go for an arm attack or anything like that until they're tired or they're just going crazy anyways. And then, of course, when conditions, a submission, any maneuver that taps, makes the opponent tap out is considered a submission. A TKO isn't really like a knockout. It just means they're in a position where they can't protect themselves, and you could just be, flicking them on the head with your fist, right, like this over and over and over. And if they can't get out and defend themselves, then it's going to be a TKO. Now, on the submission side of things, on the TKO side of things, the referee's ultimate job is to provide safety for the students involved. So it's very important that as parents, you guys understand the referee's secondary job is to decide who wins or loses. The primary job of the referee, especially working with youth, is to make sure that these guys are safe and healthy. So the ref does have the ability to end the match at any time for any reason. They have ultimate authority with the match, even beyond the scope of the rule set. Just in case, we've been doing this for quite a long time, but maybe something pops up that isn't in the rules. I give my refs 100% authority to do any action necessary to make sure that both students are safe and healthy, right? And one of those actions could include tapping out for a student who may not be tapping out themselves. And I've seen some parents get upset at this, not our own parents, but on the tournament circuit when we used to go and travel, I'd see many parents, right? Maybe their kids on the ground, getting their arm bent back. It looks like it's in this terrible position, getting ready to snap. The referee goes in and stops it, and that parent goes, "Why did you stop that? My kid was going to get out of that." And no, they weren't. They were going to get their arm snapped. The referee just, saved your student. If the referee sees anything, they can't defend themselves properly from strikes. They can't escape a certain submission and their limb is in a compromised position. If they feel like they are trying to tap, but merely their arms are restrained or they're panicking and can't tap. If they're emotional, they're crying, they're sobbing, they're getting overly angry. If they yell out in pain or give any kind of indicator of pain, it could be a ow, oh, that hurts, or if those signals come through, the referee has every right to stop it, and they should honestly stop it, right? I would not want any of my students to ever get hurt at a tournament, and we haven't had any students get hurt at our tournaments thus far, knock on wood. Okay, and it's because our referees do a fantastic job of ending the match at the right time. They're not ending it early; they're ending it to save your student. And next part is mainly for my younger students. My older students are a little bit more mature and they kind of understand the headspace. It's really my younger students that may not understand what the competition is all about. The line's kind of blurred between my friend, I'm competing them, but they're also like trying to hurt me or beat me up or get on top of me. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of confusions, but ultimately it's just a game. Sometimes they get a little emotional. And, parents, if that's your student, that sometimes gets emotional, whether it's sad and crying, there's overwhelmed or frustrated, have that talk ahead of time to just, prep themselves to not necessarily be stoic, but to go out there with some thick skin that day. They're going to meet some adversity. It's going to require a little bit of perseverance, but that's what we expect from our martial arts students and, leaders in general is, they're going to face adversity. There's going to be some perseverance. There's going to be some mental and physical toughness involved. It is ultimately two people, having a form of combat against each other. So if you're afraid they may cry or get upset and maybe try to, go at them, before they're supposed to, make sure you have those talks, prepping your student that they could lose the match for that. So that's a brief rundown of the rules, everybody. I hope that made sense. There's points from 1 to 4. Advantage points you get at referee's discretion for nearly doing any of those things. So you can see it there. It's going to post on the app also if you couldn't watch this video. Well, if you can watch this video, then I guess you're not hearing me right now. But if you almost did anything to earn those points, you get the advantage points, only useful in tiebreaker, and then there's no overtime. So all the rules are out there. As far as safety gear goes, because it's the last thing we got to talk about, everything you need is included in our sparring gear package. You need a pair of gloves, shin guards, and headgear. I know some of my students are wearing boxing gloves. It's going to be hard to grapple in those boxing gloves. I encourage you to get an open hand, either traditional martial arts, kind of taekwondo, karate sparring glove like we use, or maybe a mixed martial arts sparring glove. If you have any questions about what type of gear is permitted, please reach out to me. There are additional pieces of equipment like groin protectors or mouthpieces and things. But if your student doesn't have the necessary gear, they will not be able to participate that day, which means if they're junior elite, elite, or leadership and they show up without their gloves and can't compete, then all of a sudden, not only do they not get to compete, they don't get to do their belt test either. So please, please, please triple check the bag, make sure everything's in there that morning. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a great Monday. I'll see you on the mat soon. Bye, everybody.